You know, it's got to be rough if you're former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and you are now trying to team up with Donald Trump to beat Zohran Mamdani. A new report says that that's what took place, that Cuomo and Trump had a call possibly about Trump endorsing Cuomo against Mamdani. Mamdani beat him in the, of course, in the New York primary. Of course, Mandani goes to the general election in November. Now, Cuomo is still in the race, so is incumbent New York Mayor Eric Adams. They've been going back and forth. Cuomo's been saying Adams drop out. Adams saying that Cuomo drop out. But the bottom line is Mandani is leading in the polls, and he said it's just disqualifying if Cuomo teams up with Donald Trump to try to take him out. And Mandani said, you know what? All right, Andrew, that's how you want to roll. Let's rumble.
Looming over the election is Donald Trump, right? And there was this headline this week, and you just alluded to it in your answer right there, about this phone call between the president and Andrew Cuomo. The president denies it. Andrew Cuomo denies that phone call. And when I interviewed Andrew Cuomo recently, he said that he hadn't spoken to Donald Trump in quite some time. So why do you believe the story?
Because the New York Times stands by their reporting, and I trust them more than I trust Andrew Cuomo or Donald Trump. And with Andrew Cuomo, we don't even know what it means to hear quite some time or in a while. We know from this reporting that they continue to stand by that President Trump and Andrew Cuomo had a conversation, and that is a conversation about this mayor's race. And the very fact of it is a betrayal of New Yorkers, because in this very moment, that president has stolen food from the hungry across this country, has kicked millions of Americans, more than 1 million New Yorkers, off of their health care, and has done all of this in service of one of the largest wealth transfers from working class Americans to those who already have more money than they know what to do with.
So there is something to be said about the mayor of New York City having a relationship with the federal government and the president. Now, you said you'll be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. So how specifically, though, would you combat things like clawbacks of money or this threat that Donald Trump has said of a federal takeover of New York City? How would you combat that?
I would make the case at every single juncture about how this is not only an overreach beyond the roles and responsibilities of the federal government, but that this is something that New York will not stand for. Now, that is not to say you take a reflexive approach, always one of opposition with regards to the federal government. If Donald Trump wants to actually deliver on cheaper groceries and wants to work with me in doing so for New Yorkers, that's a phone conversation I'm willing to have.
Have you had one with him?
No, I haven't. I can tell you he hasn't called me, and I haven't called him, because I am still running to defend this city first and foremost. And what offends me and so many New Yorkers is the premise of that phone call was not how can we benefit New Yorkers. The premise of it was Andrew Cuomo and Donald Trump speaking about how they can stop the Democratic nominee.
So a big part of you win.
Raven, I don't understand. There are 8.4 million people in New York City. Okay, if Mamdani is such a threat, hey, campaign against him and beat him. But it's amazing how all of these people, Bill Ackman and so many others, oh my God, this will be a tragedy. Hey, the way you win is if you beat them. Put up or shut up.
That's right. I mean, clearly New Yorkers have spoken. They want Mamdani, and there's a reason for that, because he's made it very clear that he's not going to bend to the will of billionaire interests in the way that a Cuomo will, right? And you know what? For everyone's sake, I hope it's true that Trump is endorsing Cuomo, because that will be the kiss of death to his campaign. It will be the kiss of death. But very on brand, given that they both have sexual harassment allegations. So they certainly have that in common, and birds of a feather flock together after all. You know, I think what really frustrates me about Cuomo is that essentially his argument, one of his many arguments against Mamdani, is that Mamdani is too far left, and Republicans are going to wave him around as a moniker of this particular kind of failing. And so instead, they should choose, New Yorkers should choose someone like him, who's essentially a moderate, because he'll be able to do the bipartisan dance. I think that's so ass backwards, okay? Because the response to bullying from Trump, since when is the appropriate response to bullying from Trump bending the knee and making yourself more palatable to bigots? I don't think that's how we roll. There are moments for bipartisan cooperation. I'm not saying there's not utility in that, but there are also moments where you need to stand up and fight back. That's why we chant that at protests. Stand up, fight back. And that's the kind of energy Mamdani is giving. He's giving that stand up, fight back energy, and that's why New Yorkers are rocking with him.
But see, Michael, here's what's stupid to me, okay? All right. If New Yorkers say, we like what this guy is saying, they are basically saying, I don't give a damn about the labels that you put on. He's speaking to the issues. And so the problem that I have is when Democrats are responding to right-wing talking points by saying, oh, if Mamdani wins, he is going to be the leader of the Democratic Party. That's bullshit. He's not. So when Eric Adams won, was he because the mayor of New York City, the leader of the Democratic Party? No. In fact, I don't care if it's the largest city in America. Whoever New Yorkers elect ain't got a damn thing to do with the rest of the country. That's New York City. And in fact, Michael, if a Democrat gets asked this question when they go on these damn cable shows, if Jake Tapper or Kristen Welker throws a question out, this is how I would respond. I don't live in New York City. I ain't got no vote. The people there can vote for who they want to vote for. Now, if you want to ask me about my city or my state or my congressional district, go ahead and do that. But I ain't got a damn thing to say about what New York City does. Next question.
Yeah. So I think part of it is, cable news, especially MSNBC and CNN, they've been losing ratings, especially after the 2024 election. Joanne Reed talked about that when she was on the Breakfast Club, explaining why she thinks she was fired from MSNBC. So, you're correct. No, the mayor of New York is not the head of the Democratic Party. You just have Republicans trying to throw something against the wall to see what sticks because they are afraid of Mamdani. Okay. The other thing is, you have to outwork your opponent, and yes, you have to get more votes. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the general election because the general is different than a primary. Yes, Mamdani has the enthusiasm, but it was, from my understanding, a low voter turnout primary. And, a lot of primaries are low voter turnouts. We just had a low voter turnout primary here in Detroit. Okay. Mary Sheffield dusted the competition. But the general election is entirely different. So you have to play to the general and see what happens. Now, lastly, Cuomo, if Cuomo had a conversation with Trump recently, okay, not him saying he spoke to him after the assassination attempt to express his concern, but if he had one recently, and if he's trying to show, hey, I can work with Trump and I'll be better than Mamdani, I'll be more acceptable to Trump and acceptable to Republicans. Well, this is where you beat your opponent on the issues and you get more votes. So we're going to see how this plays out. I don't live in New York. We're going to see how this plays out, but you still need to get more votes than your opponent.
Yeah, but the bottom line is when you look at any polling right now, Matt, Mamdani is kicking Cuomo's ass, is kicking Adams' ass, and maybe if they spend more time trying to figure out why he's attractive to people, then they may have a shot at beating him. I just think that Democrats get themselves caught up in this game where they're being forced to answer to a candidate that's running. Here's the deal. In Seattle, a progressive candidate is beating the incumbent mayor. You have a group that's endorsed the progressive candidate against the progressive mayor in Minneapolis. So here's the question, Matt. Is the Democratic mayor of Seattle, is that a bellwether for the Democratic Party nationally? No. How about the progressive mayor in Minneapolis? No. I don't know why Democrats fall for the bullshit of having to answer to this when that ain't none of my business. Here's Senator Elizabeth Warren answering the question, and you know what? She should have said, I ain't from there, but she said this.
I wonder, though, often we see this, and this is a local election. New York does not operate in a vacuum. It competes with other cities. And so this idea of somehow raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, who, by the way, I would point out, pay roughly 15% of their income right now between city and state, raising taxes on them will simply drive them away. Shouldn't the focus of a mayor be on delivering services to the constituents of the city and doing that by raising the most revenue as possible without chasing businesses and the high-income taxpayers out of the city because they can go to Austin, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Atlanta, they can go to Nashville. This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zohran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. They go on and on.
You want to have a workable city? You want to have a city that's vibrant? You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day? Then you need people who can live here and work here.
Well, we've got that right now,
Not
by the way.
people who
I
have
would
to
point
take
out
an
New
hour
York
and a half
is thriving. So
Well,
now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for child care.
Those are national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No, the backup is make this city and make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mamdani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's very much unclear he has
the
the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires will have a way to
everybody
block
wants
him.
a more affordable city. There's no doubt about that. The question is how you go.
I actually do have a doubt about that. The
build more
billionaires
housing.
sure don't want to pay their part on this.
You build.
Okay, Matt, see, here's the problem here, and this is how idiotic David Faber is, okay? So I just want everybody to listen to what he said. That this is not a local issue, it's a national issue. So if Mamdani does this, he's going to run the rich people out, and they're going to go to other places. They're going to build in Austin and in Dallas and in Florida. Matt, I'm confused. That if it's a national issue, as Faber said, and they go to other states, isn't that national? Doesn't that mean the nation still benefits? I mean, this is what happens when you are so out of touch on CNBC, when you are so quick to defend rich people, you don't even know what the hell you're saying. This is a national issue. Senator Warren, aren't you concerned that if Mamdani does this, he's going to run the rich people to other states? Doesn't the nation still benefit with them being in America? Now, if Faber made the argument that Senator Warren, the actions of Mamdani, if he wins, he's going to run them out of the country, then David Faber, that becomes a national story. Otherwise, it's a local story. I don't understand what the deal is. And again, I don't live in New York City. I don't give a shit. It has no impact on me because I don't live there. This is why these rich-ass people who are anchors on television do not speak for regular, ordinary people because, I mean, Mandani, he's sitting here saying he's going to raise taxes. Shouldn't a mayor be concerned about delivering services? Well, how do I deliver services if I have a collapsing tax base? I have to pay for the services somehow. These idiots don't even know what they sound like when they're talking, Matt.
Well, first, they can run Elon Musk back because he built a campus about, 3 miles from my parents' house in Austin. So I'd be glad to have him gone. Whatever, takes Tesla leaving, I'm happy to have happen. But, one of the things I think is kind of the undercurrent here that nobody's talking about, or maybe you've talked about it on other shows, is I'm wondering if there is a concern in the Democratic Party and a hope in the Republican Party that Mamdani gets elected so they can try to call all Democrats socialists because he's a Democratic socialist. I don't know how much that...
But they do it anyway.
Right? I know. But I don't
But Matt, here's the issue. They do it. Here's the deal. You can be a conservative Democrat and they're still going to call you a socialist. Joe Biden is a centrist, frankly, center-right Democrat. For 4 years, Joe Biden's a socialist. So they're going to call every Democrat a socialist, every Democrat a communist. They're going to do it anyway. So and again, if I'm a Democrat, the way you answer that is, that ain't me. That man in New York City, they ain't got nothing to do with me. See, again, they're not comparing him. They're not saying to all Democrats, are you the same as the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Seattle, the mayor of Minneapolis, the mayor of Houston, the mayor? We go on and on and on. No, they fall for the banana in the tailpipe every time by taking the bait. And Senator Cory Booker is afraid to endorse. And they're like, well, he's afraid to endorse. And Booker was like, that's New York. They ain't got nothing to do with me. That's their business.
Right. But what I was going to say is I think that tension is at play because you would think that if the person gets elected to the mayoralty in New York, even if that is only New York in terms of a local issue, it has a national reverberation because New York is the biggest city in the country. And I'm sure there's some reticence.
No, it doesn't.
Cory Booker.
No, actually, it doesn't.
I think so. I don't think it's necessarily a bellwether.
No, it doesn't, Matt.
You can say that.
No, Matt. Here's the deal, Matt. It has no national reverberation. This is why I believe you're saying that. It's because New York City is the media capital of the world. That's why. All the networks are based there. The major media companies are there. So follow me here. The major media companies, they work in New York City. So it's big to them. So they then make it big on the air. The mayor of New York City has zero thing to do with Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Idaho, California, Washington State, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Kansas, Missouri, Maine, New Hampshire, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, nothing. But because the media is centralized in New York City, this is going to impact the nation. It won't. He gets elected. It ain't impacted Raven in Chicago. It ain't doing nothing to Michael in Detroit. It ain't doing nothing to you in Corpus Christi. But it's a media story.
Yeah, maybe so. And I'm not saying that I think what's actually happening in New York is going to affect me on the ground, but on a smaller level, whatever they do at home in Austin gets sent around and attributed to Democrats in Texas. So I don't think you can say a socialist who's elected mayor in a landslide there in New York is not going to have a national reverberation in terms of how Republicans play it. That's all I'm getting at. I'm not talking about it there being a substantive effect of what happens in New York City anywhere else in the country, because obviously it's a very, isolated locale. I'm saying I wonder if Democrats are concerned to really say what he's saying substantively is valuable because they're worried about being tied to someone who's actually a member of the Socialist Party or a Democratic Socialist, and therefore they're concerned about their own electoral effects and how that could potentially affect them down the road. That's all I'm getting at.
But Raven, here's the problem with that. They're going to call you a socialist even if you're not. They called Kamala Harris a socialist, Biden a socialist, Obama a socialist. It's a default for Republicans.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I don't know, maybe this is radical of me, but what's so wrong with socialism anyways? I mean, I think one of the things that makes us robust and capacious as a party is that we don't fall into the same kind of groupthink cult mentality, at least to the same extent that I think Republicans do. We have ebbs and flows and deviations. We're not all on the same page about all the same things. Now, sometimes that turns into the game of, well, I'm more morally righteous than you, and a kind of carceral politics of discarding one another when we're not 100% on the same page about things. But I don't think it's a bad thing that someone is coming in with a new idea. Real talk, if what we had rocking right now was working, we wouldn't be in the situation that we were in. Like, people are so resistant to new ways of thinking, new ways of organizing, new ways of thinking about government and thinking about community and redistribution of wealth and resources. But we need some radical new ideas, and that should be okay. And I think establishment Democrats who are so deeply enmeshed in current power structures as they exist, feel very threatened by that. They don't know how to reckon with that. Maybe perhaps they personally don't benefit from that. And so it's more comfortable to distance yourself. But young people want some new energy. Come in, shake it up, give me some new ideas, meet people's material needs, right? Like Elizabeth Warren was saying, meet people's material needs. People cannot afford groceries. People cannot pay for their rent. What are you going to do about it? What y'all have been doing is not working. So now someone is coming in with new ideas and you want to guffaw at them? No, I'm going to hear what he has to say. And you should too.
Michael, I just think, again, Democrats fall for the banana and the tailpipe every time. If somebody, I'm sorry. If I am the United States Senator from Massachusetts, and if they're sitting here saying, and matter of fact, I would flip it. So, Senator, do you think that if the socialist elected mayor of New York City, it's going to somehow hurt? Then I would literally sit there and say, have you ever asked about the mayor of Seattle? The mayor of this city, that city, that city, that city, that city? Like, this is literally, like, I'm not even entertaining it. That, to me, is the problem. Democrats get in trouble when they are playing on a Republican playground where they've set all the rules and all the traps and you are to respond. I just think it's very simple. The answer is real simple. Is this: if the voters of New York City choose Zohran Mamdani, then that's who they choose. And if you're in New York City and you don't want him to be mayor, then you go vote. What's your next question?
Yeah. Well, one, yes, the major media outlets, they're stationed in New York City.
Hold on, Michael. Hold on, Michael. So let me go ahead and add this so you can respond to it, which backs up what I'm saying. During the debate, did you see what happened during the debate? When they said, if you're elected mayor, what's the first trip you're taking? Every candidate, I'm going to Israel. I'm going to Israel. I'm going to the Holy City. I'm going to Israel. You know what Mamdani said? He said, well, actually, I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to take care of New York City.
Right.
Brilliant answer. That was him saying, as the mayor of New York City, I ain't got shit to do with Israel. That ain't no foreign policy component about being the mayor of New York City. He was like, so I'm just going to keep my ass right here and deal with the issues of New York City. It was a brilliant answer.
Yeah, I did see that. So New York City being the center of media, and we just saw Good Morning America just move their studios to New York City. But the other thing is that New York City.
No. Good Morning America. Good Morning America was always in New York City. They were in Times Square. They moved their studio to out of Times Square to the Hudson. The ABC bought a bunch of space in the Hudson Yards, so they moved it from Times Square to Hudson Yards, but they're still in New York City.
It's still in New York City, okay? Because I saw when they celebrated it. The other thing is New York City is where you have Wall Street also. Okay, so you're dealing with the financial markets, but to your point, a lot of times Democrats. Well, you're dealing with a big tent party, number one. But a lot of times, they do take the bait and may not try to be put into a box. But it is true that they're going to call you either a socialist or a communist regardless. And most Republicans don't know the difference between socialism and communism. They use the terms interchangeably. Okay, to try to put you into a box to cast you a certain way. They did this with Biden, which is totally ridiculous. That Biden had to tell him, no, I'm a capitalist. Okay, I'm not a socialist. So these are the games that Republicans play. But New York City, the mayor of New York City is not really going to impact these other states. Now, what I think something that shifted was when 9/11 happened, and Rudolph Giuliani was called America's mayor, and I think that may have shifted.
But because that was a tragedy. But Michael, it actually did. It actually didn't. You can go back to the 70s when Lindsay was mayor, when Ed Koch was mayor. Dinkins was mayor. Before Giuliani. Again, let me say it again. National media has always elevated that the mayor of New York City is the second most important job in the country behind the commander-in-chief. No, it's not. No, it's not. The rest of the country literally doesn't give a shit about the mayor of New York City, but because David Letterman's show, the late night shows, all those people are based in New York City, guess who comes on the show? The mayor of New York City.
New York City, right.
The mayor of Denver doesn't. The mayor of Denver is not going on Jimmy Fallon. The mayor of Scottsdale, Arizona is not going on Seth Meyers. So national media elevates the mayor of New York City to be a larger-than-life figure. And all I'm saying is the mayor of New York City has no relevance on the other 49 states at all. And so Democrats should not fall for he's going to be the standard bearer of the party. No.
Right.
No, he won't.
Yeah. They want to use Mamdani to scare other people, scare
that's all
Democrats, scare people away from him. Yeah, because I remember back when Mayor Ed Koch hosted Saturday Night Live. Okay, so this is the mayor of New York being elevated. Yeah, so no, that definitely happens.
That's all. So again, don't fall for the okie doke Democrats. Let them right wingers run with it and simply say, "Man, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Move on." All right, y'all.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.